In 1571, the Yucatan public became sick to the plague. One man tracked down a plant and alongside others, drank it. The substance turned individuals blue and made them unequipped for taking in air. They immediately moved to the sea and made a human progress in the profound water, Talocan. One of the ones who ingested the plant had a child named Kuk. The child grew up to become leader of Talocan. At the point when Finn kicks the bucket, she requested to be covered on the land. Kuk drove a few watchmen up to the land where he saw a development. They went after the progress to account for his mom's internment. One of the locals referred to him as Namor, signifying the kid without affection. Shuri works in her lab, making a good attempt to make a counterfeit heart-molded spice to use for her sibling and Wakanda's top dog, Chala, who is passing on from a disease. Ramonda gradually strolls into the lab, declaring the Lord's demise. After a year, Wakanda is experiencing difficulty with different countries needing their vibranium. The Dora Milaje discover French military men attempting to take from their station. Afterward, Ramonda converses with the assembled countries and uncovers the French's endeavor to take. She reminds the nations that despite the fact that the Dark Puma is gone, they will in any case battle. At a mining station, Americans mine in the sea utilizing a vibranium finder that was made by a MIT understudy, Riri Williams. They utilize this to find vibranium in the sea. Unexpectedly, they go under assault by Talacanals who don't need them taking their vibranium. The final helicopter of survivors is struck somewhere around Namor. In Wakanda, Ramonda and Shuri go to the water and grieve the year since Chala's passing. They consume their burial service pieces of clothing to connote the finish of the grieving time frame, in spite of Shuri not being totally prepared for this. Namor then shows up, overcoming the boundary by going under the water. He uncovers to them the presence of Talocan and believes that their assistance should prevent outsiders from taking vibranium. He additionally makes sense of that Wakanda isn't the main spot that has vibranium, Talocan has it as well. Ramonda reprimands him, stressed of his presence. He lets them know he will kill the researcher who created the machine and that they can help him, however they can't hinder him. Shuri and Okoye go to meet Everett Ross, who gives them the name and area of the youthful researcher, notwithstanding conceivably offering private data. Okoye and Shuri then, at that point, go to Cambridge, Massachusetts to track down Williams. They follow her to her carport where she uncovers that she is dealing with an Iron Man-type shield. In any case, they are trailed by the FBI. The three move away, Okoye in a vehicle, Shuri in a cruiser, and Williams in her defensive lair. Out of nowhere, they are met by Talacanals, Atuma, and Namora. A short engagement closes in Shuri and Williams getting caught. Ross shows up at the scene the following day and meets with his ex, Valentina Allegra de Fontaine. He likewise tracks down Tomoyo globules and conceals them. In Wakanda, a goaded sovereign Ramonda reproves Okoye for losing Shuri, which is exacerbated by past occurrences, for example, when she apparently agreed with Killmonger when he usurped the privileged position, and flames her from her situation as Broad. Shuri and Williams awaken in Talocan. Namor shows Shuri the human advancement, attempting to persuade her regarding his standards, in any event, giving her his mom's armband. Notwithstanding, she differs in killing Williams. In the meantime, Ramonda goes to Haiti to see Nakia, who had left Wakanda 6 years earlier. She requests that Nakia track down Shuri for her. Nakia does a few spying and sorts out the area. She then breaks Williams and Shuri out as Ramonda converses with Namor about his arrangement. They return to Wakanda, however, just for additional torture as Namor and his kin attack. They flood the city, causing a hard and fast conflict. Namor deals with all of the Wakandan vehicles prior to flooding the royal chamber holding Ramonda and Williams. Williams begins suffocating, so Ramonda swims to save her. She can get Williams to somewhere safe, however, just to suffocate simultaneously. Shuri grieves her mom's passing as Namor tells her she is sovereign at this point. He and his kin then, at that point, leave the country. In the meantime, Allegra de Fontaine figures out that Ross has been speaking with Wakanda this entire time and has him captured. M'Baku converses with Shuri after the burial service and gives her ethical judgment that she shouldn't kill Namor. He then tells her he will give lodging to the uprooted Wakandans following the assault. Shuri then utilizes Namor's mom's wristband to make the counterfeit heart-molded spice which at long last works. She goes to the astral plane in the wake of taking it and is welcomed by Eric Killmonger, who claims they are something very similar. They contend a peace before Shuri claims she will kill Namor out of retribution. Shuri awakens and makes herself a suit. She then, at that point, drops into a gathering among M'Baku and the elderly folks as the Dark Puma. In readiness of the fight, Shuri and Williams understand that they could debilitate Namor by warming his body up to where it can't get oxygen. They then, at that point, make a second Ironheart reinforcement. Shuri gives Okoye a new protective layer, acting similar as Iron Man's also, called the 12 PM Heavenly Messengers. Okoye initiates Annika to be separated of her two-lady group. In the sea, they utilize a vessel to bait the Talacanals into a snare. The fight begins as Namor appears to acquire the upper hand. Notwithstanding, Dark Puma traps him in an illustrious Claw Warrior as they remove off from the fight. In the meantime, the Dora Milaje battle the Talacanals on the vessel while the Jabari clan, Nakia, and the others fight the ones on top. Ironheart and the 12 PM Heavenly Messengers deal with the airborne Talacanals. Dark Puma warms up the Regal Claw Warrior, debilitating Namor, however he starts to break out with his lance. Dark Puma shoots an impact from her vibranium gloves which detonates the entire boat, sending the two foes into the island underneath. The two battle some more until Namor skewers Shuri. Notwithstanding, rather than polishing her off, he is more stressed over getting to the water before he bites the dust. A harmed Dark Puma breaks free and gets before the limping Namor. She then shouts, "Wakanda for eternity," as she coverings up, sending an impact from the detonating Claw Warrior into Namor. He is set on fire as he implodes. She remains over him to polish him off, however recalls her sibling, Chala. With these recollections of the man he was, she chooses to save Namor's life the length of he gets back to Talokan. Namor has appreciation for the Dark Puma and joins her as they return to the battle scene and advise everybody to quit battling. Yet again Dark Jaguar then, at that point, hollers, "Wakanda until the end of time," as the rest rehash it back. In the result, Williams gets back to MIT without her shield as the Wakandans need no discussion with letting her keep it. Shuri leaves for Haiti as opposed to trying for the privileged position, which at last is tested by M'Baku. Afterward, Namor paints in his room as Atuma welcomes him. Namor guarantees her that their new coalition with Wakanda will be helpful. En route to jail, Okoye breaks Ross out of guardianship. In Haiti, Shuri meets with Nakia prior to leaving for the ocean side where she consumes her memorial service stylized robe, permitting her to lament at last. In a mid-credits scene, Shuri discovers that Nakia and Chala have a child, Toussaint, who Nakia has been bringing up stealthily distant from the strain of the lofty position. Toussaint uncovers his Wakandan name is Chala.